Hi.
So I'm so happy to welcome today my colleague and friend, Dr. Hassan. Dr. Hassan is an associate professor of food science and technology here at LEU at the School of Arts and Sciences. He received his PhD from McGill University in Canada. And Dr. Hassan's research focuses a lot around the area of non-microbial food safety, food processing, and especially food waste. In particular, he worked a lot on understanding, determining, and characterizing the food waste over here in Lebanon. Thank you so much, Dr. Hassan, for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
So first of all, could you start by just giving us your definition of food waste?
Okay, so food wastage includes food loss and food waste. Food loss is the food that we lose during agriculture and processing phases, while food waste takes place at the consumption level. So we're talking about retailers, supermarkets, restaurants, households, and it's a global problem. So both in developed and developing countries, we have the issue of food waste, of course, at different levels.
Okay, thank you. And in the context of this course, which is about sustainable food systems, could you tell us how can reducing food waste actually contribute to having more sustainable food systems?
Yes. So as you know, since your course focuses on sustainability, in September 2015, UN issued the Sustainable Development Goals, and among these goals is goal 12.3, which states that countries must reduce their food waste by 50%.
Wow,
by
50.
the year 2030.
Okay.
So 2030 is 9 years from now. Time is running, and unfortunately, majority of countries didn't take enough steps to mitigate food waste. Now, how reducing food waste can improve sustainability? I have few numbers that I would like to share with you.
Wow, great.
So worldwide, around 1 billion people are starving, while the amount of food that we waste is enough to feed 1.3 billion people. So by addressing the issue of food waste, we can achieve food security because no hungry people will stay hungry. And when it comes to greenhouse emissions, pollution-wise, food waste worldwide contributes right after USA and China if food waste was a country.
Wow.
So food waste is a major contributor to climate change. Addressing this issue will ensure better environmental sustainability. And 1/3 of food worldwide is lost or wasted. And this is a big burden on water and land resources. So by tackling food waste, we can improve the water resources. Therefore, we can ensure that enough water will stay long term. And in the year 2050, we will have 10 billion people on Earth. The maximum amount of food that we can make by then is not enough to feed 10 billion people.
Right.
So one important strategy and one effective strategy is to reduce food waste in order to feed the 10 billion people in 2050.
Use the wasted food, basically.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
Definitely, it's a huge pillar
Exactly.
of having of feeding the planet and having sustainability in feeding the planet. Thank you for these impressive numbers. These sad numbers, actually.
Yeah.
So given that you did so much research over here, could you tell us about, I'm afraid about the answer, but could you tell us about the food waste situation in Lebanon?
You know, in Lebanon, we deal with too many issues at the same time. And recently, we're witnessing an increasing level of food insecurity. Now, food insecurity is, of course, due to the economic issues, but also due to the lack of awareness when it comes to food waste. Because studies showed that 60% of our waste is organic. So when we say organic waste, mostly from food.
Absolutely.
So now some waste is avoidable, other waste is unavoidable. But for sure, when we look around us, in restaurants, in our places, how much food we waste, we can realize that this is an issue that we can work on. We circulated a questionnaire among a convenient sample of 1,300 households in order to understand their attitudes, their behaviors when it comes to food waste. So we found out that food waste is higher in urban areas since people rely a lot on food orders and since the family size is smaller, so whenever they cook they have leftovers. Also we found out that in urban areas people buy a lot offers from supermarkets. And this is something that we witnessed during COVID-19, the panic buying. So
Right.
people went to supermarkets just to stock food items, and by the time they wanted to consume them, they were expired. Also, we found out that as the education increases, the food waste decreases in households because, of course, people would have higher awareness on the topic. And people who reported a feeling of guilt when throwing food waste ended up wasting less food. Also, the samples we collected from restaurants are being now characterized to see how much lipids, how much proteins, and so on, because food waste can be valorized. For example, to use it as animal feed or to use it for extracting some nutrients for other applications. Because in Lebanon, according to our study, 1/3 of the food we make at home or in restaurants end up in the garbage. So 1/3 is a very high number when it comes to a poor country. So we have more than 75% of the Lebanese people insecure while we waste 1/3 of the food we make.
So this value would compare to more developed countries?
Exactly, and this is a striking percentage because in poor countries we have more food loss at the agriculture sector since they don't have enough pesticides, enough scientific expertise. But in Lebanon it's the opposite. Our food waste is significant. So this is a case study by itself.
I think our country in general is a case study by itself. So you mentioned increasing awareness, etc. Could you tell us more about how we can reduce food waste at the national but also at the global level?
Okay.
What are the interventions that were shown to work best?
Now, in Lebanon, we had a law on reducing food waste issued 2 years ago. But unfortunately, in light of the circumstances, this law has not been implemented well, like majority of our laws. So it starts with setting enough policies and laws. Like for example, in France, by law, supermarkets cannot waste any food. Each supermarket should have a deal with a food bank, with a charity.
Oh, wow.
At the end of each day, they need to donate the leftover. So having food banks is very important. In Lebanon, we do have few NGOs like Lebanese Food Bank, Food Blessed, and other NGOs that work on food waste. But in Lebanon, we have low awareness when it comes to the topic. That's why there is ongoing efforts in this regard. And on the individual level, we can take many steps that reduce the food waste. For example, studies show that you shouldn't go to the supermarket hungry.
Yes.
Because by default, you tend to get more food beyond your actual needs. That's why it's important to prepare a list of items before going to the supermarket. At home, it's important to always check your stock. Any item that is about to expire should be consumed as soon as possible. Nowadays, in light of the power cuts, one should not get more than what they actually need, because you know the temperature in the fridge or the freezer is not helping much. Also, it's important to follow recipes, because if you don't follow a recipe while making food, you may end up having unacceptable quality. So it's important to follow recipes. And when it comes to restaurants, it's very important, especially when it comes to Lebanese restaurants, because we tend to leave lots of food at the end.
Right.
And you know, in Lebanon, when we go out, ordering more is a sign of generosity.
Absolutely.
So having like a goodie bag or taking leftovers from the restaurant is very important.
I have a feeling that this is being more implemented
Exactly.
and accepted
Recently.
and this
Exactly.
this is so important in my
Exactly.
opinion,
Exactly.
and especially in light of this very high number of food
Exactly.
issues.
And even, for example, I remember in my wedding, I informed Lebanese Food Bank to come right at the end of the wedding to take any remaining food, because you know, in our weddings again, we tend to order much more than we need, and at the end of the day, food will be sent to garbage. So like these little steps can make a difference. And let's always remember and teach our kids, food is a blessing. Like we cannot simply waste it, because let's keep in mind that the food waste has ramifications on the environment, on the overall food security. So everyone should learn the importance of appreciating food. For example, in the UK, they have a campaign called Love Your Fruits, because when you go to any supermarket, you find the best quality fruits, while you may need this fruit to make a juice. So if I'm making apple juice, it wouldn't matter how the apple would look like.
Pretty or not.
Exactly. So also we need to consider this fact. And that's why in UK they have a section in supermarkets for the ugly foods. They are priced at lower prices to encourage people to buy them. In Lebanon, unfortunately, we don't have it. So you go to big supermarkets, you find the best quality fruits and vegetables, but in the morning, while arranging the fruits and vegetables, all the poor quality ones were simply discarded.
It's not even poor quality, it's just the appearance.
Exactly. So it has the same nutrients, the same taste, the same everything. So this is important as well to highlight for kids, for new generation, to appreciate the ugly crops. Because after all, they taste the same, they have the same benefits and so on.
They nourish the same. Wow. Thank you so much for shedding the light on this important issue. I've learned a lot. I think we can all make a difference, and it's also so impressive how much it can actually impact
Exactly.
the sustainability of our food systems, and how much it can change the dynamics of food distribution and help us feed our growing population.
Exactly.
Thank you so much, Dr. Hassan.
Thank
it's
you
a
so
pleasure,
much.
as always, to see you and talk to you.
My pleasure.